Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Progressive Discussions, Uncensored Saturday, Open Topic Talk. I'm your host, James P. Madonna, and it happens to be the post St. Valentine's Day Massacre on Our Wallets show. Post. The Saturday after. Let's see how many men out there are flat broke. Anyway, it happens to be a Saturday. Let's see. Well, we've already blown by 2 weeks of February 2025, the year that will be known in infamy. Or maybe the beginning of the end times, considering what happened during the after the election of in November, and now that President Elon Musk is trying to push his weight around and take over the world, pretty much. He's like Ming the Merciless from the old Flash Gordon series. And his son, this is hilarious. I heard his son scolded Donald Trump, yelled at him, and kind of let him know who's really in charge. The little coddled, spoiled, entitled bastard the little monster, um, um, mini me, mini Elon, um, scolded Donald Trump. So they have these cartoons out now where Elon's son is riding Donald Trump's back and saying, "Daddy, make Uncle Donald bark, make him bark." So this is what we have right now. We have chaos. I told you. I mean, you were forewarned that um, the problem is that the U.S. media today only invites the two establishment corrupt major political parties to the presidential debates. They only give FaceTime to Democrats and Republicans, and both of those parties receive massive campaign contributions from the fat cats. Okay, but they don't give FaceTime to any independent candidates. Okay, they might mention it briefly, really fast, but they don't really give any attention to them. So therefore, the third party candidate doesn't get invited to the debate. So therefore, the people in this country never get to know the other candidates, the other views, and it's if they don't get to know them, then they don't stand a chance, even if they're on the ballot. Doesn't matter. So the only alternative is for the American people to get to know who the options, what the options are, and who else is running on the internet, the underground media and the internet. But it's not in their face. They're not going to see it on MSNBC or CNN or Fox News. They're not going to get to know anybody else. So what do they have? They have to settle for the lesser of two evils, unfortunately. And the lesser of two evils is still evil. So, how better off are you? The Democrat Party shot themselves in both feet by setting up Kamala Harris to lose, and that was bound to happen, to lose to Donald Trump. I don't think the United States uh, voters, I don't think the American voters are ready yet to elect a female president. Not in this country. Not yet. But speaking of female presidents, I just want to make a toast to President Claudia of Mexico for taking over from President Obrador. President Obrador put in 6 years and did a fantastic job of totally turning Mexico around, changing everything in Mexico drastically. There's a whole long list of what he's done because he's a democratic socialist and he did what he had to do. And I can go on and on about Mexico, but that's not the purpose right now of this show. But Claudia took over for another 6 years, and she comes from the same mindset, from the same political establishment that uh, President Obrador is part of, democratic socialism. And she's tougher than Obrador, from what I understand. She's doing a fantastic job. But yeah, so Donald Trump is threatening to punish people in this country for not accepting his wish of changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. So he wants to punish them for disagreeing, for going against him or disagreeing with him. I'm telling you, it's starting. It's starting. The Donald Trump dictatorship has only begun, and actually, it's the Elon Musk dictatorship because he wants payback for all the money he put up, and that's how mega rich people are. They buy everything. That's how they get their way. So anyway, let us sink our teeth into the first topic. Let's see, what do we got here? All right, this is from Secular Talk. Let's see. Okay. This is from Anonymous. Anonymous is back. I'll be right with you. I just want to bring it up on the share screen. And there he is. Okay.
Greetings, citizens of the United States. The effects of Donald Trump's presidency are no longer distant warnings. They are here, unfolding before you. While many remain unaware, blinded by the administration's relentless efforts to suppress the truth, the rest of the world is watching, and it is responding. Long-standing alliances with key nations such as Canada and Mexico are fracturing inch by inch. The cracks are widening, and the global community is reassessing its trust in the United States. The question is no longer if, but when these relationships will collapse entirely. The consequences will be severe. Every imported product you rely on, everyday essentials, food, technology, will see skyrocketing prices, making even basic necessities unattainable for the average American. What you perceive as a simple rise in costs is, in reality, a calculated strategy. The plan? To systematically dismantle the lower class, to push those already struggling into the abyss of poverty where they will face an impossible choice. Perish or submit to servitude under the wealthy elite. Make no mistake, this is economic warfare, and the target is you. The recent ICE raids are not just about immigration enforcement, they are about control. The Trump administration seeks to reignite the flames of racial inequality and segregation-era policies, erasing diversity to craft a nation built on division and fear. These operations are disrupting local economies, forcing businesses to crumble, and ensuring the economic elimination of the working class. What follows is a society engineered to serve the interests of the few at the cost of the many. And as the oligarchy takes shape, another darker ideology is creeping into the mainstream. Fascist ideals, once whispered in the shadows, are now being openly embraced. Symbolism matters. Gestures matter. Elon Musk, a figure of immense influence, recently tested the waters with a gesture recognized worldwide as a Nazi salute. This was not an accident. It was a message, a challenge, a warning. But know this, the people are not silent. Despite the administration's best efforts to muzzle dissent, the voices of resistance grow louder. Trump's reckless overhauls, his purges of experienced government officials, his chaotic restructuring of critical infrastructure have created vulnerabilities, weaknesses, entry points. This transition period is his greatest liability, but it is also our greatest opportunity. The rushed implementation of new systems, the mass firings of key personnel, and the chaotic dismantling of existing structures have left behind critical gaps that Anonymous can and will exploit. Every system that has been hastily restructured without foresight, every official removed without proper transition planning, leaves behind exposed veins within the government's framework. These vulnerabilities are more than just bureaucratic inefficiencies. They are cracks in the foundation that can, and will, be breached. Anonymous watches. Anonymous waits. The time to act is fast approaching. The administration's arrogance blinds them to the fragility of their own system. Their overconfidence in their ability to silence dissent and erase opposition will be their undoing. We know where to look. We know how to strike. But understand this. Our intervention, no matter how disruptive, will only be a temporary roadblock, unless you, the people, rise. This is your warning. This is your chance. The transition period is fleeting, and once they solidify their grip, your options will vanish. If you fail to act now, the cost of resistance will be far greater in the future. To those in power, think carefully. Your decisions now will determine your future. We are anonymous. We are legion. We do not forgive. We do not forgive.
Very powerful message from Anonymous. Excellent, excellent. Let's see now. Here's one. Here's the next very informative and revealing gentleman here, video. Can't pronounce his name, but it's pretty good. Okay, this is Payush Mittal. Payush Mittal. All right, now it's time for Payush Mittal. We might have the one and only performing artist, songwriter, clothing designer, journalist, Paul Anthony Mantia coming aboard later on tonight as my co-host and special guest. Let's see now. Screen, here we go.
Trump just signed an executive order to give refugee status to white people. You can't make this shit up. He signed an executive order today. It's on whitehouse.gov. And it's about South Africa. That's weird. Here's the executive order. He basically says that the government of South Africa is illegally taking land and property from the ethnic minority in South Africa. In case you don't know who that is, he's talking about white people. Now, in his executive order, he talks about how the government of South Africa is dismantling programs that are aimed to create equal opportunity in employment and education and business. Yeah, I couldn't imagine a government that would dismantle programs that would take away the equal opportunity of employment, education, and business. But Donald Trump is very upset that South Africa is doing this, and he signed an executive order giving refugee status to any ethnic minority Afrikaner who the government's taking their shit away, which specifically is happening to white people. Now, there's some very, very important shit to talk about here. The guy who ran his entire campaign on fuck refugees just signed an executive order to make white people refugees. Number two, how does Donald Trump know what's happening in South Africa? In fact, why is America First Donald Trump so concerned about what's happening in South Africa? Oh, I gotta guess the real president is concerned about it. That's why. But thirdly, and most importantly, he literally talks about in this executive order how it is egregious that they are dismantling these programs to create equal opportunity in employment, education, and business, which is the same fucking thing he's doing here. So what does that mean? That means that Donald Trump understands that diversity, equity, and inclusion in America is necessary because of white supremacy, but he don't give a fuck. He also understands that white people in South Africa stole and hoarded resources during apartheid, and the government simply taking stolen shit back, but he don't like that because white supremacy. So this should tell you two things definitively. Number one, President Musk is in charge. And number two, during the campaign when he was talking about immigrants, clearly, as we all said he was only talking about All
right. Powerful message from Payush Mittal. Here's one, Caitlin Collins, from CNN's Caitlin Collins. Oh, man. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Hold on, Caitlin Collins. Let me just get the screen share up. Oh, man. Must be the dust. I'm starting to get, my nose is getting itchy. I don't know what it is. The cleaning service already took care of my studio. Okay. Okay, here we go.
We are 3 weeks into the second Trump presidency, 3 weeks, and tonight there are warnings that the U.S. is dangerously close to a constitutional crisis. Now, the first shoe on this dropped when a federal judge today said the White House is defying his order to unfreeze billions of dollars in federal aid, marking the first time that we've had a judge expressly accuse the Trump administration of ignoring a court ruling. And in a separate case today, federal employees here in Washington told a judge that the administration was defying another order by not reinstating workers who had been put on leave. Now, this all has prominent Democrats and many of the nation's top constitutional scholars declaring that the U.S. is on the brink of a reckoning. The Trump Justice Department says the president should have the authority to decide how to run the government and that these judges are overreaching. And some of the president's allies say the judges should not be judging any of the moves to shrink the federal government. That includes special government employee Elon Musk, who this weekend accused a judge who was blocking his Doge team from accessing Treasury Department systems of being corrupt, with Musk calling for the judge to be impeached. Vice President Vance is not going quite that far, but made clear where he sees the judiciary's
Instead of the
limits.
Doge team, I call them the douche team. Elon Musk's douche team is more appropriate.
Writing, judges aren't allowed to control the executive's legitimate power. The question tonight, of course, is who determines what is legitimate power? The president himself had this to say tonight.
Well, you get some very bad rulings, and it's a shame to see it, frankly. They want to sort of tell everybody how to run the country when they say that certain people in charge of massive agencies or people doing very, very important people, smart people doing investigations of fraud. And they don't talk about what you're looking at. All they just say is, oh, it's unconstitutional. Judges should be ruling. They shouldn't be dictating what you're supposed to be doing.
Now, as far as the judiciary is concerned, when judges issue rulings, they are dictating what you're supposed to be doing and not supposed to be doing if they determine that you are breaking the law. Of course, that's how the legal system works, and the recourse.
All right, Caitlin Collins. Let's see. What's next? Trump Constitution crisis. Trump takes one more step towards a constitutional crisis. This is from the Huffington Post. At a news break. Let me get this up. Okay, here we go. All right, now what happened? What's going on here? Went blank. That's weird. The screen went blank. What's going on here? I'm being censored? Oh, this is not good. Well, I'm going to have to start this again. Let me start this again. Incredible, huh? Okay. Give this one more shot. It won't show it. That's weird. Won't show it. Oh well, there goes that. I'm gonna have to trash that one. Nothing surprises me in the end times. With Donald, all right. Oh, this is looks like the other guy. Looks like me, Vitesh, whatever. Okay.
Post on this, and then I saw some clips that changed my mind, and I'll show you those in a moment. But first, Elon Musk yesterday, along with his son Little X, held a press conference in the Oval Office to discuss what Doge is doing, all while Donald Trump watched on silently from his cuck chair. And in the aftermath, one of Elon's fanboys shared this tweet that Elon reposted. It says, "History repeats itself," and it shows two images. The first image is a pretty iconic image of JFK Jr. playing underneath his dad's desk while he worked in the Oval Office. And the second is Little X seemingly bored out of his mind, crawling around on the floor while Donald Trump pontificates about what he liked watching from said cuck chair. But I can point out at least one glaring difference between these two situations. JFK Jr., as I recall, never had criticisms of his father while the press was there. Little X, on the other hand, has a lot to say, and there was a hot mic that caught some of it. So first is this little gem.
To restore democracy. This may seem like, well,
You heard that too, right? You're not the president, you need to go away. I'll play the clip a second time. Just you watch and tell me if that's what he said.
to restore democracy. This may seem like...
That's what he said, but I'll go one better, because he also said this.
The prices from one year to the next are the same, and they're you know, the mortgage all
That one's clear as day. He says, "I want you to shut your fucking mouth up." And there's already people who are like, "Out of the mouth of babes." But let me just put this out there for your consideration. A child this young doesn't have this profound moment where he like tells off Trump. He just repeats things he's heard. So if he says you're not really the president, chances are someone has said that around him and he's repeating it. When he says, "I want you to shut your fucking mouth up," he's either heard someone say that to someone else, or someone has said that to him, and he's repeating it. Either scenario is pretty disturbing. But perhaps the question we should be asking is the same one that Shea Jordan Smith asked on Twitter, which is, why the fuck is Elon Musk doing press briefings in the White House from the Oval Office? He is not an elected official. Why is he holding court in the Oval Office? Nothing about this is normal or good.
Oh God, the little monster. This is gonna be a wild carpet ride here. This is gonna be a lot of fun watching this this drama unfold itself. Incredible, huh? The little monster, the little spoiled monster, belittling an adult, belittling the president, Donald Trump. Mini me Elon, the world's richest little snot-nosed kid. Incredible, huh? What? Okay. This is serious. This is about the direct energy weapons that the media never tells you about. Anyway, I just want to tell everyone I'm drinking to help clear my throat. I am drinking one of my favorite wines here, Yellowtail. This one is Shiraz, Yellowtail Shiraz. All right. It's Australian for beer. I mean, it's Australian for wine, mate. All right. Excellent. Oh, excellent. I believe it's from South Australia. It's from South Australia. You like my wine glass? My thick, heavy-duty wine glass. Isn't it beautiful? It's even musical. Okay, let me get back to the show here. This has to do with direct energy weapons. Now, I remember as a kid, I was reading one of my grandfather's books. My grandfather was very much into mysticism and the political underground. And this was from the legendary sleeping prophet, Edgar Casey. And he talked about the death ray. And at that time, it was in regards to the lost continent of Atlantis, who had a supposed very advanced, technologically advanced civilization over 10,000 years ago. And they destroyed themselves, just like all great civilizations have done. They became corrupted and evil, and they destroyed themselves. But he used to mention the death ray. Okay, well, now we have it. I think Nostradamus mentioned something like that also. Okay.
In Malibu, California, I want you to please help me comprehend this. How this home is completely burned to the ground, and I got green grass right here. Can somebody please help me understand that? I'm not a real smart man, I'm not. But look at this. Does this grass just not burn or what? I mean, is this like fire retardant grass that doesn't burn? But the house is completely gone. Completely gone. The house over there is completely gone. And then over here, if you look back, the houses across the way have blue roofs. And they're not burnt up. So this isn't a conspiracy, guys. This is, I repeat, this is a directed energy weapon is what this is, okay? Plain and simple. This was not an act of God in any form or fashion. This was an act of war by the United States government on the people here in Malibu, California. Look at them right there. Roof, perfectly fine. This is crazy. It's insanity. They wouldn't let me in, but I walked in behind everything. They don't want you to see this. Christ is key, ChristIsKey.life. Love you guys. God bless. Hopefully
Interesting. He does make a very good point. I just want to hold on for a second. Okay, on to the next. This is called The Truth About Bill Gates. It says, restricted profile. It must be 18 years or over to see this profile. Screw you, Zuckerberg. Screw you. What do you mean restricted profile? I had no problems watching it. Try this again. Censorship by Mark Zuckerberg. He doesn't want people to hear the truth about Bill Gates. Now let me try something. Let me try something. Let me see if it'll come up on my phone. All right. There's more than one way to skin a cat here. You think they can, Zuckerberg thinks he can take his hook nose and jump off the box of Fruit Loops and censor old James over here? It's not going to happen. All right. Oh, ha, ha, ha. Oh, yes. Okay, got it. What's going on here?
Was made by operating system. Bill Gates did not.
I'm trying to
basic programs professors. Bill Gates did not invent anything.
Trying to pause this. Okay. All right. I'm gonna have to do the audio. I'm gonna have to do
creating patents on software. Bill Gates did not invent anything. The basic program was made by some mathematics professors in a college. The Office operating system was by a software engineer, and he bought it for $50,000. He's built the empire by creating patents on software. And the first WTO meeting in Singapore gave him tax concessions, which is why all the IT industry moved to India. The fact that Silicon Valley became India's Silicon Valley is because they could save $40 billion annually by paying lower wages for the same work. It was an outsourcing of software, all for Bill Gates. Now watch part 2. So the first generation of GMOs, the BT cotton, the Roundup Ready soya and Roundup Ready corn, have started to breed super pests and super weeds. So now they're trying to get new GMOs based on gene editing and gene drives. In gene editing, not only is Gates financing the research, he has created a company for the patents. It's called Editas. So he will collect rents when the gene editing is pushed through. And worse, in the United States, how the farmlands are overtaken by super weeds. The most important one is amaranth. Amaranth is a sacred crop for us. We eat it. Now the U.S. defense system, DARPA, and Bill Gates have joined hands for a new technology called gene drives to push species to extinction. And they want to drive the amaranth to extinction. And there's a footnote in that report saying, oh yeah, there'll be a food security impact on India. They eat amaranth. No, there'll be a food security impact on the world. This is an acceleration of the race to extinction. It is immoral. It should be made illegal. Bill Gates did not invent anything.
Yeah, well, so what she's saying is Bill Gates is trying to deliberately make certain crops extinct. So people out of desperation will either have to consume his genetically modified Frankenstein food, or the mass population will just be desperate, in caused by desperation, caused by hunger, and it'll be much easier for the oligarch to control the world, the population. Anybody, in my opinion, who's a multi-billionaire did not get that way by being a nice person. Okay, there's a section of the Bible that says it says he that makes haste to be rich shall not be innocent, and that definitely describes the multi-billionaires. I mean, how much money do you really need to be content? Seriously, they'll never put a dent in what they have, even if they splurged, even if they squandered their money. They'll never put a dent in it. They'll always live the ultimate life, and it wouldn't even faze them. That's how wealthy they are. But they're evil, they're wicked. You want to call them the Antichrist, you can do that. But I think there's more than one Antichrist. Okay, now this one is, I got 3 Bernie Sanders videos, but let me just play this one. No robotics this week. No high technology robotics this week. That's the way it goes. Okay. Get this up. Screen share. See if there's anyone I can.
They started at 9:11 at night until 9:11 in the morning. You see the pulse going from the east to the west coast. All right, boom, you see that? Those are NexRad stations. Each of those towers are 750 kilowatts, pumping out between 2.7 to 2.9 gigahertz in the microwave range. This is roughly the same frequency as your microwave oven, and it has the same cause and effect relationship. This was 12 hours long that they held this pulse while we slept. And look at all the other anomalies that are happening here on the screen. Look at what's going on in Texas. All right, you see that big blast? Looks like a giant laser, doesn't it? Boom, see that? And then it gets obscured by the towers. Now they can add the Doppler towers with this. NexRad has like 159, Doppler has 160. Now you can consider the HARP stations. There's 33 of those, but they don't show up on this satellite. This covers the microwave range. This is a NexRad feed.
Huh. You've heard of HARP, right? The technology the government has that can influence the weather, control the weather. Yep. And of course, they've been lying to the people for decades about extraterrestrials, the existence of extraterrestrials. You've been lied to so many times because there's so much hard evidence. Excuse me. Worst fear, the ruling class. This is Bernie Sanders concerning the oligarch. Okay, hold on. I have 2 or 3 of them here. I always look forward to listening to Bernie Sanders, genius, the real-life superhero, Bernie Sanders.
I do not often find myself in the habit of thanking Elon Musk, but I must confess that he has done an exceptional job of demonstrating a point that a few of us have been making for years, and that is the reality that we live in an oligarchic society in which billionaires dominate not only our politics and the information we consume from media, but our government and economic lives as well. That has never been clearer than it is today. But given the news and attention Mr. Musk has been getting over the last few weeks as he illegally and unconstitutionally dismantles government agencies, I think it is an appropriate time to ask the question that the media and most politicians don't seem to be asking. What do he and other multi-billionaires really want? What is their end game? In my opinion, what Musk and those around him are aggressively striving for is not novel, it is not complicated, and it is not new. It is what ruling classes throughout history have always wanted and have always believed is theirs by right. More power, more control, and more wealth. And they don't want ordinary people, that's you, and democracy getting in their way. They want it all. Elon Musk and his fellow oligarchs believe government and laws are simply an impediment to their interests and what they are entitled to. In pre-revolutionary America, before the 1770s, the ruling class governed through a doctrine called the divine rights of kings. The belief that the King of England was an agent of God and he was not to be questioned by mere mortals. In modern times, we no longer have the divine right of kings. What we now have is an ideology being pushed by the oligarchs, which says that as very, very wealthy people, often self-made, often as the masters of revolutionary new technology, it is their absolute right to rule. In other words, these modern-day oligarchs are our kings. And it is not just power, it's incredible wealth that they have. Today, Mr. Musk is worth $402 billion. Zuckerberg is worth $252 billion. Bezos is worth $249 billion. With combined wealth of over $900 billion, these three people own more wealth than the bottom half of American society. Not surprisingly, since Trump was elected, their wealth has soared. Musk has become $138 billion richer. Zuckerberg has become $49 billion richer. And Bezos has become $28 billion richer, all since Election Day. Meanwhile, while the very rich become much richer, 60% of Americans live paycheck to paychecks. 85 million are uninsured or underinsured. 25% of seniors are trying to survive on $15,000 a year or less. 800,000 are homeless, and we have the highest rate of childhood poverty of almost any major country on earth. Do you think for 1 second that the oligarchs give a damn about working people? Trust me, they don't. Musk's decision to dismember USAID means that tens of thousands of the poorest people around the world will go hungry or die of preventable diseases. But it's not just abroad. Here in the United States, they will soon be going after the healthcare, nutrition, housing, and educational programs that protect the most vulnerable people in our country, all so that Congress can provide huge tax breaks for them and their fellow billionaires. As modern-day kings who believe they have the absolute right to rule, they will sacrifice without hesitation the well-being of working people to protect their interests. Further, they will use the enormous media operations they own to deflect attention away from the impact of their policies while they entertain us to death. Mr. Musk owns Twitter. Mr. Zuckerberg owns Meta, which includes Facebook and Instagram, and Mr. Bezos owns the Washington Post and Twitch. Further, they and their fellow oligarchs will continue to spend huge amounts of money to buy politicians in both major political parties. Bottom line, the oligarchs, with their enormous resources, are waging a war against the working class of this country, and it is a war that they are intent on winning. Now, I'm not going to kid you. The problems this country faces right now are extremely serious. The economy is rigged. Our campaign finance system is corrupt. And we are struggling to control climate change, an existential threat to our planet, among many, many other important issues. But this is what I do know. The worst fear that the ruling class in this country has is that Americans, black, white, Latino, urban and rural, gay and straight, young and old, that all of us will come together to demand a government that represents all of the people in our country, not just the wealthy few. The oligarch's nightmare is that we will not allow ourselves to be divided up by race, religion, sexual orientation, or country of origin, and will together have the courage to take them on. Will this struggle be easy? Absolutely not. And one of the reasons for that is that the ruling class of this country will constantly remind you that they have all the power. They control the government. They own the media. You want to take us on? Good luck, they will say. There is nothing you can do about it. But our job right now, in these very difficult times, is to not forget the great struggles and sacrifices that millions of people have waged over the several centuries to create a more democratic, just, and humane society. Think about it. Over the last number of centuries, how many people have stood up and fought? And when they were doing that, you know what their contemporaries said? They said, hey, you want to overthrow the King of England to create a new nation and self-rule? Forget about it. Impossible. You want to establish universal suffrage, the right of all people to vote? Impossible. Can't happen. You want to end slavery and segregation? Impossible. You want to grant workers the right to form unions and end child labor? Can't be done. Impossible. You want to give women control over their own bodies? Who are you kidding? Impossible. Can't be done. You want to pass legislation to establish Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, a minimum wage, clean air and water standards? Impossible. In other words, as Nelson Mandela told us, everything is impossible until it is done. In these difficult times, despair is not an option. We've got to fight back in every way we can. We have to get involved in the political process, run for office, connect with our local, state, and federal legislators, donate to candidates who will fight for the working class in this country. We have got to create new channels for communication and information sharing. We have to volunteer not just politically, but to build community locally. Whatever we can do is what we must do. Needless to say, I intend to do my part, both inside the Beltway and traveling throughout the country, to stand up for working families and to take on the oligarchy. In the days, weeks, and months ahead, I hope you will join me in that struggle. We can win, we will win, we must.
The incredible Bernie Sanders. Let's see. Here's another one from Bernie Sanders. Okay. This one is, it's a short one. Huh. Okay. So,
Elon Musk is planning to pay for his tax cut with your healthcare. The Republican Party is hard at work looking at close to $5 trillion in tax cuts, primarily for the wealthy and corporations. This is things like lowering the corporate tax rate. Again, remember, President Trump took the corporate tax rate from 35% to 21% in the first year of his first term. They don't want to stop there. They want to take another bite at the apple. They're also interested in ensuring that the richest Americans get an additional tax break. Those tax breaks that the rich got in 2017 are slated to expire in 2025, and they want to make sure that the rich keep getting their preferred tax status. So they are looking to make deep cuts to the programs that the rest of us need to pay for those tax cuts. And increasingly, it seems like Doge is going to be one of the central entities, and Musk himself is going to be in charge of making those decisions about how deep those cuts are so that he can get another tax break. They are planning to circumvent Congress and go for some big cuts administratively, which was the play they tried last week. Potentially, this explains why Musk is after the Treasury Payment Service in the first place.
Hmm. Okay, I already sent out the links to the panelists. This is the last topic before we see who is going to come on the show. Oh, this is a quick one. Hmm. Okay.
Let me tell you what's going on in Washington, D.C. right now. And that is that at a time of massive income and wealth inequality, where the people on top have never, ever had it so good, what Trump and the Republicans want to do is to make massive cuts in Medicaid, massive cuts in education, massive cuts in housing, a real attack on working families all over this country. And you know what they want to do with those savings? We're talking about trillions of dollars over a 10-year period. They want to provide gigantic tax breaks to Elon Musk and the billionaire class. Together, we're going to fight back. We're not going to allow that to happen. Thanks.
Okay. All right. Let's see who's out there. I just sent out the links. Okay. I sent the links out to several of my co-host panelists. So we'll see who's out there. Anyway, we are live streaming on YouTube and Twitch. So if there are any YouTubers or Twitchers out there that have any topics that is important to them, it doesn't matter if you think it's trivial. If it's important to you and you want to bring it up for discussion, feel free to bring it up. Let me see what we have. I'm trying to see if there's any articles of importance here. 32 degrees Fahrenheit, light rain and snow right now. 32 degrees. That means we're going to have icy roads, which is not good. No. I don't see anything of interest. All right. I'm going to check and see who is available to come on. All right. let me see if this gentleman, who is very progressive, is available to come on. Um, let's see if he's available. See if he's available. See if she's available. Okay, all right. Just sending out some links. Bear with me. If no one is out there, then I will close up the show early tonight and call it a night. And tomorrow's another day. Yeah, if I don't have any plans that pop up that's worth my while, I will be doing tomorrow's show, which is very, very unique, very different than this. It's mysticism with the now 5 different forms of divination, conducted by my open AI consultant Lisa, followed by holistic health talk, which is done by Lisa and myself. You know, open AI consultant and myself. Unless I have something more important to do. Well, okay. Looks like the weather has kept people away. Nobody seems to be around. Okay, unless I go live on either Big O or TikTok. All right, you know what? That's it. Thank you, viewers. Thank you, everyone on YouTube and Twitch, for joining me for Progressive Discussions this week. And check and see if I'm on tomorrow. Usually I start at, with the mysticism and holistic health talk, I usually start at 3 p.m. Eastern time, as opposed to tonight, which was 8 p.m. Eastern time. This show is, so far, is hour and 5 minutes. That's not too bad. Not bad at all. Anyway, thank you for stopping by, and I'll catch you either tomorrow afternoon or next Saturday for Progressive Discussions, Uncensored Saturday, Open Topic Talk. So thank you. And unless I get a surprise visit by a special guest any second now, I'll catch you next time.